Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Excited that Jery O'Connell, star of Camp Wilder, Crossing Jordan, Sliders. Say hi, Jerry.
Hey, how are you? I'm sorry. I thought I was waiting for a camera or something.
No, this is audio only. We're going to do camera at the end.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how this world works.
What are the odds Jery O'Connell would lead the podcast off by saying sorry? I'm going to say 1-1. I say that's a pick'em in Vegas. This episode of More Stories is brought to you by eVoice. eVoice is the reason you're going to make more money in 2013. When your customers call, you'll have your own toll-free number, professional greeting, dial-by-name directory, and more. You'll sound like a Fortune 500 boss and blow away your competitors. eVoice lets you give out one number that rings wherever you are. You could be at the beach. You could be at the bar. It doesn't matter. You're going to sound like you're at the office. You got to go to evoice.com. Use the promo code JAY. eVoice even takes all your voicemails, transcribes them, and sends to you instantly as a text or email. How cool is that? You can check voicemails before the meeting ends. You can get all the info before everyone else, and you won't even look rude doing it. eVoice is only $10 a month. But right now, my listeners, for my podcast, you can try eVoice free. That's right, my man or woman. For 6 months, free. That's right, 6-month free trial. Support Fake Mustache Studios. Stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. No, stop what you're doing. Hit pause. Set up your eVoice free trial and see what I'm talking about. Go to evoice.com, promo code J. That's my name. evoice.com, promo code J. Or just go to jmoore.com and click the eVoice banner right now. This is cool as hell. I want to be in a meeting, Jery O'Connell, and if I could just have eVoice. I'm looking forward to it, but so far no one has given me pertinent information by using eVoice where I got text that was incredibly pertinent to the meeting, because you and I don't have those kinds of jobs.
Well, you have an office now, Jay, so I mean, I think that you using eVoice is just something that's going to happen right around the corner naturally. It's bound to happen. I couldn't believe that you had an office up here.
But I'm never in a situation where we're in like a sales. If you do sales, eVoice is perfect because it's like sharks in a tank. I'm just kind of like the lone wolf. I talk sports for 3 hours, and then I go home. But eVoice for me, this is what I like about it. I set up a business number, so anybody that wants my number, I give them the eVoice number. So I never get it on my home phone, my cell phone or my home. I give them the eVoice number, same greeting as everybody else, and they think they're talking to me. So
right.
eVoice helps you trick people into thinking that you're really giving them your phone number in public.
Well, Jay, it's been a few years since I've seen you, but now that you work here at a corporate job for such a large corporation, this radio corporation, I see you have a key fob, a security.
What's a key fob?
That's the thing that lets you into special doors with
I thought
locks.
that was my Soul Train laminate, man. That's back from my Source Awards right here.
I think eVoice is just around the corner for you now that you're part of this whole corporate
I'm using
world.
it now is what I'm telling you. But
I mean, I see you have Venetian blinds here in your office. You have posters
autographed
of
Mark McGuire poster.
Yeah, with and he says, "Say hi to your wife."
Love to Nikki.
It's pretty incredible.
And he signed it right by his crank, which I'm not sure I'm happy about that. He literally did. We should get a photo of that up if you wish on the Tumblr. All right. So, what credit are you most recognized for when people see you out in the street? Is it Crossing Jordan?
No, it really depends. I can tell by I don't like to generalize and stereotype, but I can. I can tell by a demographic what they're going to.
When a black guy comes up to you, you're like, "Oh, here comes Kangaroo Jack."
Well, I don't see race, so I was talking
about, like,
more ages.
What about NASCAR?
NASCAR. They might see me as someone who played Frank Cushman and Jerry Maguire, the guy from Texas.
I got Cush-lash.
Right. How exciting was that when we were in that, Jay?
Bro, I was so sad.
Because we knew each other before Jerry Maguire.
I was going to talk about Camp Wilder a lot, and it didn't even dawn on me till you just said it that we were in Jerry Maguire together.
That's right.
I read for your part first. Did you know that?
I read for your part first. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So you read to be Bob Sugar.
I read to be Bob Sugar. I had some ad-libs set up based on my agent at the time. I'll tell you the whole story, Jay. I went and met with Cameron Crowe, our director. I met with a lot of other people. And
James Brooks, Richard Sakai.
Right. I met with all the
Gail
bosses.
Levin.
And I met it came down to one of the final auditions, and I was asked my height, and I was asked to stand up straight and show a profile. And
this is to be Bob Sugar.
This is to be Bob Sugar, the agent. I had read for that, and they had actually flown me out to Los Angeles. I was still in New York, living with my parents, as you remember, and my grandfather and our dog. Yeah, and
nice place. What's the dog's name?
His name was Blackie.
And you don't see Race?
He's in doggy. He's in doggy heaven now, Jay. But I was asked. So I read for your role. I was asked to stand up and give my height. I was asked to leave, and I was walking out, waiting for my rental car at the valet, and I was depressed. I was like, I can't believe I came this far. This is going to be my big break. And then an assistant came out and got me and said, "Would you be willing to read these sides for the quarterback, Frank Cushman?" And I just knew it wasn't said, it was unspoken, but I just knew that my height, I am 6'2", and in Hollywood, that's like being 6'7". I mean, it just is.
And what's Tom? 5'8", 5'9"?
Around. I don't know any.
I would guess 5'8".
I don't know any number. I
don't see race. I don't see numbers.
I don't know any. I don't know. I'm sure there's a website.
You should just run for president.
I'm sure you can find it on the internet. There's no reason why I should guess. I'm going to guess,
having worked with him and having a spine, that he's, I'm going to guess Tom Cruise 5'8". I think that's fair to say. Pacino probably 5'7".
I mean, these are all.
Who's taller, Tom Cruise or Jill Hennessy?
Jill Hennessy, for those who don't know, was the star of a show that I did called Crossing Jordan for many years, and I don't know. It also depends on what they're wearing. A lot of time heels are involved.
Right. Who drinks more? Jill Hennessy on a weekend or Tom Cruise in his entire life?
I don't know. I just don't know. I just can't answer these questions.
All right. So you audition for Sugar, and you go in for Kush. And then how long did they give you to prepare for Kush?
I had a few people who came in for meetings. So I had, as you know, as auditions go, maybe a half hour.
That's not a lot of time. For the rest of your life to be in a movie that big?
Well, I mean, you try not to think of it in those terms. You try to think of it as just like a small goal. You don't try to think, you take it as, you work at sports broadcasting. You're supposed to take things one game at a time.
One game at a time, man. I auditioned for your part first, Kush. And
did you put on a Southern accent?
I did, but I clobbered it. It was awful. And my grandmother is from Odessa, Texas. Then I said, I was doing a lot of gigs in Boston, hanging out with Anthony Clark, who's from Richmond, Virginia. So I'm like, I'll just do an Anthony Clark impression. I'll just get it all. But it just came out like Hasidic. I don't know what happened. It wasn't Southern at all, and it was bad. Like, I was embarrassed. And then I left, and same thing. They asked me to come back to read for The Babysitter.
Right.
And then I had like 2 callbacks for that, and Cameron said, look, when I went to the studio with The Babysitter role, Cameron came out to me and said, this speech about John Coltrane and Miles Davis playing together, because you think in the movie he's going to hand Tom Cruise a condom. He goes, you're going to need this. I want you to use this if you guys are going to go in there and get busy. And instead he hands him a cassette. Remember those? He hands him a cassette, and it's live Miles Davis, John Coltrane. I had that CD, so I knew all the guys, and it was very easy for me to remember, and it was very easy for me to be passionate about it. I'm like Cannonball Adderley on sax and John Coltrane, 2 masters of their craft. I still remember a little bit of the sides. And Cameron said, this is the easiest part of the movie for me to cut. When you say it, I don't want to cut it. I can't. So just do it the way you've been doing it, which is the worst thing you can tell an actor. Keep doing it exactly the way you're doing it. And then we get in our heads and we screw it up. And then on site, it was Jim Brooks said, what about sugar? And just the hair on my neck stood up because I knew how big a thing that was. But then I didn't want to have what happened to you happen to me a half hour because Sugar's, he's the antagonist. So I said, could I come back tomorrow to prepare? It needs to be played completely. And they said, well, tomorrow's Friday. Why don't you just come back next week, Monday? And I go, how about Tuesday? And they go, sure. Like they had it's such a big budget movie. They're like, sure. And I just all weekend, like a crazy person, just did it.
Yeah, I was still on the East Coast, and so I only had. They put me up in a hotel. I don't think they want to give me another night there, and I certainly wasn't going to pay for it. That was crazy working on that movie, huh? You remember? You know what kind of blew me away was the. Oh man, just what remember Mission Impossible came out that weekend when we were shooting, and it was like it broke all records, and just I couldn't believe how you were not intimidated by Tom Cruise at all.
You were?
I couldn't believe. I remember
you were intimidated by him?
I didn't look him in the eye. I was afraid. I mean, I was.
Because you were too tall.
No, man, come on. I'll never forget you going, "Hey, Tom," yelling across set. "You have a jump rope in your trailer? I want to do some jump rope." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember standing in like the shadows, like not wanting to be seen. Like I've just been told, like, don't get noticed and you'll last longer. I was just always afraid of getting fired. And you were like, "Yo, Tom, can I run in your trailer?" I remember like his trailer, like satellite dishes would come
like
up.
Oz. It was like Emerald City.
It was like something. It was like a space station. Like things would just like you'd hear a hydraulic and then another like arm. It was like a transformer. Then another like part of it would come out.
And he was still married to Nicole Kidman then. Janusz Kaminski was the director of photography, was married to Bonnie Hunt. So not only was everyone famous and hot shit, Janusz Kaminski was the director of photography for Schindler's List.
Right.
It was like
most recently Lincoln.
Yes, and Cameron Crowe was with Nancy Wilson. So not only was everybody at the top of the world, the top of the showbiz heap, their wives were.
Right.
It's like the lead singer of Heart, the girl from Raising Arizona, and Nicole Kidman just stopped by, just to say hi. It was crazy.
It was. I have to tell you though, Jay, the most special moment for me was driving up to your house in the hills, seeing Barry Katz's Ferrari with stones stuck in the tires because it was a hill. Remember, he'd put the stones under the tires, afraid it would roll down, buddy.
My God, man!
But do you remember he would put the stones under the tires,
like rocks,
like it was a trailer, like it was a trailer parked for months on Ventura Boulevard.
Wait, stones is like small. He took like something the size of a laptop,
and jammed them so it wouldn't roll down.
I just don't want it to roll down the hill, man.
And I remember driving up there, and we had no idea that we were in that movie together, but we had known each other quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, I'll get into this further in the podcast. You really influenced me greatly early in my adolescence, and I'll get to it. But I remember driving up there because I was in LA, I think because I had auditioned for it or I was doing wardrobe, and you said to me, "I just booked a huge movie with Tom Cruise." And I said, "Oh my God, so did I." And that's when we realized I was up in your place in the hills. And I think I even said to you, like, "Holy shit, Jay, can you fucking believe we're doing it?" Like, we were in that shitty sitcom, and you're the guy from Verona, and I would go to your house in the Lower East Side, and you were so fucking funny, and Dina Cola and Neil Brennan, and you showed me a whole new world. And now here we are in LA, and we're fucking doing it. It was such an amazing moment that you and I were both a part of that, because I didn't know anybody there. I didn't know. You had also been living in L.A. for a couple years, and I'm not sure if you were I think you were dating your first wife at the time.
Yeah.
So you were pretty established here. You were doing the Jeff Foxworthy show?
I had done Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And I came here full time. I was doing Jeff Foxworthy show and stuff. Yeah.
So you had found success. You were making TV money. You were doing the improv every night.
And what were you doing? Just a lot of pilots?
No, I was in college still. Do you remember?
NYU Film School.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Remember the old days?
I remember the old days. I remember
Frosty and Neil Brennan staying in your place, and
I had like 4 guys sleeping on one futon. It was very homoerotic, and I liked that. I get up to pee in the middle of the night with a pee boner, and I'd be like, "Look at these guys. This is nice." I
saw one night Neil Brennan was playing at not the old Boston place, but the place around the
Comedy
corner,
Cellar.
Comedy Cellar, right? And he said, "I'm I'm there tonight, and I was in New York, and I ran over there, and it was just so funny to see him.
He's funny.
He's really funny, and obviously he's found a lot of success. But I hadn't seen him since I think he was in your apartment.
Did you talk to him at all?
Well, he and I went to school together, but he dropped out of there the second he got there.
All the great ones do.
Yeah.
Did you graduate?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, your parents wouldn't let that fly. You couldn't drop out with Michael at the helm.
Well, also,
Jerry,
I didn't
the
have the
listener should
distractions. I was living.
No distractions. You're on a sitcom.
I took a semester off to go do that, but I was also living at home. Do you
You're
remember
like
my grandfather? Like, I was driving here, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Jay used to come over with Dina Cola, and we played basketball on 17th Street. And remember my grandfather was in the living room? It was just so crazy.
I remember your mom was wearing like a jumpsuit,
right?
Like a cool one, like Pete Townsend, The Who.
Yeah. Well, they're weird people. They're from Chelsea. They're weird.
They're very. I don't know. I wouldn't say weird. I would say off the beat as cool. I think they're cool as hell. And your mom was wearing like a jumpsuit, like Pete Townsend's white jumpsuit from like Tommy.
She's a crazy lady.
It was great. And then your father, people don't know this about Jery O'Connell, star of Crossing Jordan. I think it's probably the most clocking, Kangaroo Jack, Body Shots, Piranha 3D. Your father is very British, was in the Royal Air Force, and looks almost exactly, if Mick Jagger didn't have the weird jowls, he looks exactly like your father. Your father looks just like Mick Jagger, but with white hair.
I think a lot
of
people...
Is
that fair? I don't think he looks like Mick Jagger.
Jerry?
The luau is over.
Can you tell that story? This is my favorite O'Connell family story.
Jay Mohr would always say to me...
No, don't give away the punchline first. Just tell the story and end with the punchline.
My brother and I were in high school, and we were in Long Island, and my father had chartered a boat with our uncle the next morning at like 4 a.m. to go fishing. And as you know, it's extremely expensive. It's hundreds of dollars at the time, probably thousands of dollars now. And there was a beach party, and my brother and I wanted to go to the beach party at night and try and make out and drink beer or whatever. And there was a bonfire. So my father said, right, I'm going to come back and pick you up in the parking lot. I'll be here at 9 o'clock because we have to be up at 4 to go fishing first thing in the morning. And we were like, yeah, whatever. So like 9 o'clock rolled around, and my younger brother was like, hey, man, it's 9. We have to go meet Dad. And I was like,
I call bullshit right there. There's no way that Charlie was the responsible one.
Well, he was...
The way you told me originally, you guys hooked up with chicks and you're making out. You dug holes in the sand to make out.
Right. We were hooking up, and we didn't want to go see my father. So then we eventually saw headlights coming on the beach. And my father had a Jeep at the time, and he pulled up to the bonfire. And then kids were all running because there was underage drinking, and they thought it was the cops. And there were, maybe 100 kids there. And my father stepped out of the running car and went, Jerry, Charlie, the luau is over. And so Jay heard that story, and then anytime we'd go out, Jay would say to us, if we were leaving, Jay would go, Jerry, the luau's over, come on.
But you told me, like, kids out in Montauk, that became, like, part of their lexicon. Yeah. Like, they'd be in a party like, let's get out of here, man. This luau was over.
Right.
Look, you got to plan for your future. You do financial planning, you get insurance. But to get real peace of mind, you got to make sure your family is legally protected. So where do you turn for affordable legal protection you can trust? LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom.com. For over 12 years, they've been helping Americans get personalized wills, powers of attorney, living trusts, real estate documents, and more. LegalZoom.com also helps start and maintain businesses with incorporation and LLC filings, trademarks, and copyrights. Their time-saving service was developed by a team of experienced attorneys, and LegalZoom takes care of you from start to finish. LegalZoom documents have been accepted by courts and government agencies in all 50 states. LegalZoom is not a law firm, but they can connect you to an attorney and provide self-help services at your specific direction. For even more savings, enter MORE, M-O-H-R, in the referral box at checkout. If you're a parent or an entrepreneur, don't wait any longer. Call or visit LegalZoom.com, enter MORE in the referral box, and protect what's yours.
Can we talk about how crazy you were back in those days? You remember Peggy Sue's?
Yeah, Peggy Sue's.
That was a bar, everyone, that was on University and 13th.
Yeah.
And we went there often.
Drank for free. Not a good combo when I come in and you go, no, you don't have to pay for drinks here, JJ. Just go behind the bar and help yourself.
I'll tell you about a theory I had about you in those days. I thought you were on steroids.
Really?
Yeah, because you gained about 20. We would lift weights together. Oh, this is where it's going to get good, people. We would lift weights together with each other at that gym above the Angelica.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called?
I don't know. I really don't know.
And
it was above the Angelica Theater on Houston Street.
And there was a gym upstairs that you and I would go to. You put on about 20 pounds in months.
I was tired of being a pencil neck geek. I was tired of people telling me the luau was over. But I want to take control of my life and kick some ass myself.
Now, I didn't lift as much as you did, and I realized you had a wrestling background, so you knew how to put on weight and take it off and all that stuff. But, I couldn't put a pound on, and you put on 20, and then we would go to Peggy Sue's, and you had what I believe was roid rage.
Without the roids.
And
remember,
I guess
I shot Jason Steinberg in the ass. Somebody had a stun gun for security. One of the security guards at Peggy Sue's had a stun gun, and I thought it would be funny if I shot my friend, Jason Steinberg, in the ass with a taser. And then Neil Brennan was on the podcast, and the story got to him. He was there. And Neil Brennan says, you did it to him twice. And I'm like, no. Like, I had to put my foot down. Like, no. I only tased my friend once. I wasn't crazy. But that's how I can understand you thought I was on steroids. I thought it'd be funny to tase someone.
Do you remember you and I should tell everyone, Michael DiNicola, who was a comic with Jay for many of those years, how is he doing?
He's just vanished. Nobody knows where he is.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's awful. Sometimes late at night when I'm cyber stalking people, I look him up and I just can't find him either. It's just...
He never really paid rent. It was one of those things where he was my roommate and then...
But you guys wrote together. I mean, obviously there's a give and take. You were a famous TV star at the time, and he was a struggling guy. So we all helped people out.
Like Master P says, when the money get low, there they go. I, in my life, in the last 4 years, have cut probably 8 people out of my life when I realized if there's no check on my end... They don't really want to hang out.
It's so amazing. And I made the cut. I'm still here.
Yeah, because you never took a dime from me.
Never.
But DiNicola once, I canceled the DC Improv and the Baltimore Improv because I had another gig. And I said to him, my business manager called me and said, how good friends are you with this person? Let's say a different name from now on, with Marty.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Said, don't worry. No, it's fine. I go, I just don't want to pile on. Because he's destitute. I go, really, like, great friends. Like, we're best friends. He goes, well, he hasn't really paid rent. I go, how long? And he goes, no, he's never paid rent this entire year.
Is this when you own that apartment up on 57th or something?
43rd and 11th. I always rented in New York. And he never paid rent a year. Like, never, ever. The illusion of, like, paying rent. And I asked him, why haven't you paid rent? And he said, sorry. And then we parted ways. And then I came up to him. I had a show at the Beacon Theater, and it was sold out. It's like a big celebration. Everybody's there partying, having a good time. I sold out the Beacon Theater. Like, that's where the Allman Brothers play, man. Big night. And Mike's there. And I said to him, I got to assume you didn't pay rent because you had to eat. And you had to take care of necessities. And I don't want to be that guy that doesn't give a guy a second chance. So I would like you to move back in, and we could be roommates again. Because it was a great time, And he moved back in. 4 months go by. My business manager, Dean, calls me up and goes, Mr. DiNicola hasn't paid rent. And I said to Mike, why didn't you pay rent? He goes, well, you canceled the DC and Baltimore Improvs. I was going to open for you. That was going to be rent. And then I realized I can't book gigs to make sure you pay me the rent because you're my opening act. That's a lousy business model. And I've had other friends, stand-up friends, who I realized, I pay guys money to open for me, and now I don't pay anybody anything. Guys like Ryan Sickler, who's got a great podcast. Sickle Cell, The Crab Feast, which is a great podcast that you guys should all subscribe to on iTunes, The Crab Feast. He says to me when we met, when he opened for me once in Denver at the Comedy Works, he said, look, man, let me get something straight. I don't want a penny of your money. All I want is stage time and the way we laugh off stage. Let's just laugh our balls off. And that guy flies himself to gigs. He probably loses money half the time. But that's how it used to be. Like, I used to drive to Buffalo for like $50. I knew I was losing a whole bunch of money, but I knew if I could make a contact, I could crack the code. Camp Wilder.
No.
Sorry.
I still want to talk about young Jay Mohr to everybody. Because another way you really influenced me, and you'll never remember these stories.
But why do you ever come up to me and say, hey, are you on steroids? Because you were afraid I'd get in a fight?
I was afraid you would tase me.
Don't tase me, bro.
No, these are just things I was thinking about when I was coming here, about to go down memory lane. I mean, at the time, I probably said to you maybe when we were in a steam bath together or something, you used to always make me go in the steam bath. Nothing ever happened, I swear to God. But remember you used to love steams?
I made Angie go in a steamer with me.
You used to have like a lung thing, remember?
Yeah, it's called smoking an eighth of pot a week.
And you would always insist on going in steam baths, specifically in different various gyms in the West Village and stuff, which I didn't always feel comfortable in. And I want to tell everyone listening, nothing ever happened. But it was still...
Well, you left earlier than I did, so don't speak for me. Don't speak for me. If I met the toy cannon.
It was just always crazy. And Jay was always someone who, and it was all jokingly and done with humor, but always touched you with his foot or something in a steam bath, or always made a joke like, oh, yeah. And it would be so steamy. And I'd be like, I know he's joking. But then, it was just crazy. But, oh, God. But I will never forget. I was, my brother and I both went to NYU, and we were on a date. And you'll never remember these girls, but it was, and you were playing Caroline's.
Okay.
And I said, let's go see my friend Jay at Caroline's. So we went uptown, and I'll never forget the night we stupidly bought the beers in the souvenir cups, which aren't like $10 beers. They're like $30 beers. And we kept ordering the souvenir cups.
Glass that says Caroline's.
Right.
Yeah.
So we, between the four of us, we ordered 8 beers, but we also ordered 8 souvenir cups. So the bill came to like $400. And I had to go negotiate with the manager saying, I didn't realize we didn't want to buy 8 souvenir cups. First of all, there's only 4 of us. Secondly, I don't need to remember Caroline's that much. Thirdly, I've been to Pottery Barn. I have my own cups. Fourthly, I live at home. I don't even need to buy my own cup. But I think I ended up negotiating for $200 and getting to keep 3 of the Caroline's cups. But afterwards, we met up with you, and the girl I was with, I was still, I was probably like 19. And I was 19. So the girl I was with, did a trick with her tongue where she moved her tongue fast. This is such a weird story, but I just want people to realize the pedestal that I put Jay Mohr on, and Jay Mohr, without flinching or changing his voice, looked at her, and she moved her tongue very fast. And Jay Mohr said, if I had a clit, I'd marry you right now. And it made us...
It doesn't make any sense.
It made us laugh so hard, and we couldn't stop laughing. And those girls, who my brother and I dated for months...
Oh, I get it, because if I had a clitoris, she could use it
if I had a clit, I would marry you right now. And then you kept walking, and we were in Times Square, and we couldn't stop laughing. And all night, we went to Phoebe's. Remember Phoebe's, that bar on the Lower East Side? We were laughing. And I just... it was a real turning point in my life.
Did you get laid that night?
I had a relationship with this girl for years. It was your fault, and there
you go, buddy.
I mean, it was all you.
I was really crazy.
You were very funny, though.
Neil Brennan and I.
I was actually a good friend for you, though, because
you were a very good friend for me.
I never, whenever you did things I never got mad at you.
Let me know when it was over the line. In a way a friend would.
But I never got mad at you.
No, you did it great. You would go, Jay, this is not okay. You spoke to me almost like a parent, but in a cool, like a friend. And you'd say, like, you got the one friend that's nuts. You go, bro, over the line. No. You don't bowl on the Shabbos, man. No good.
Yeah.
And I always listened to you because I knew your head was in the right spot all the time. Neil Brennan was on the podcast. Get the More Stories app if you wish on your iPhone. It's great. It's free, and you can get all the episodes immediately on your phone. It's a hand-in-glove arrangement. And Neil Brennan said, why? Why did you act that way? Because apparently I was like abusive to Neil. Like I just teased the shit out of him. And he said, why? And I said, I'm going to say alcoholism combined with mania. And he goes, but what did you gain? And I go, that's the part I don't understand about me. I gained nothing. I took no pleasure from mocking you or making you feel poorly. It's almost like once it got rolling like a snowball, it got bigger. Mania. Like when people are bipolar, but I never swung the other way. I was always up.
Well, I also want to say anytime you said anything rude to me, I never took it personally. I mean, I
was like Don Rickles.
Yeah, it was it never offended me. One time we were in, I'm going to mention this bar again. I mean, I can't believe I'm plugging it. It's been closed for 30 years. Peggy Sue's. But we were there, and we almost got into a fight with another celebrity. And when I say we, I mean you. And I don't want to mention...
I did get in a fight with Anthony Michael Hall on the roof of Peggy Sue's.
You're the one who's saying it. It was in a stairwell, actually. And it was crazy because...
But that was after I punched him out on the roof.
But it was crazy because he was a very large man.
He
at
was
the time.
roided out.
I don't know
Look,
that.
Edward
I don't know
All
that.
right, that's true.
I don't know that.
Edward Scissorhands, very different sized Anthony Michael Hall than every other Anthony Michael
He was a
Hall.
large man, and you got into a fight with him, and I was with you, and it was intimidating. It was frightening, and you were not frightened in any way whatsoever. I don't know if it was your anger that you and Neil are talking about, if it was the fact that you're from Verona and that's how you react to these situations.
I'll tell you what it was. But
it was in a stairwell. No,
hold
hold on a second. But remember we used to play ping pong all the time at that Korean ping pong club?
25th Street.
Right. And I said, hey, man, let's go play some ping pong. And for months after that, you would always say, hey, man, let's go play some ping pong. Let's go play some ping pong. Anytime any sort of situation happened that seemed to be somewhat aggressive, you would turn to me and go, oh, let's go play some ping pong.
Oh, you said it during the fight.
It wasn't during the fight. It was afterwards when everyone was pushed to their respective corners.
Fuck that. Let's go back. Where is he right now? And you're like, hey, Jay, let's just go play some ping pong.
I was like, let's go play some ping pong. Let's go play some ping pong. I didn't want to fight the people who were significantly larger than us. And I believe it was only you and I there. And it was a losing battle. And I said, let's go play some ping pong. Okay,
no way.
Maybe in your okay.
Here's why.
But for me, it was
I spent my entire life in a neighborhood, the youngest kid by 2 years in my life, on my street and in the neighborhood. So all my friends go to junior high and they go to high school, and I'm just alone. So I was either alone or I was the youngest guy. So I had to keep resetting the table, improving myself. And then when you're playing tackle football, when you're 12 and you're playing tackle football with 14-year-olds, they kick the shit out of you. Wrestling practice. I'm the youngest guy in the varsity team. I'm 105. I'm 105 pounds. Guys are throwing me all over the place. Stand-up comedy. I'm 16 years old. I'm the youngest I'm not old enough to be in the bar, and I'm there, and I'm getting more laughs. So I always had, it wasn't even a Napoleon complex.
A chip.
It was, I am actually good enough to do this, and everyone keeps acting like a dick to me. So instead of going into a shell, I hit the incline bench at the gym above Angelica, and I went, no more. I'm done with this. No one's doing this to me anymore. And with him that night, I remember he called me. We had the same girlfriend once. Anthony Michael Hall was dating a girl.
The girl who worked there?
No, it's this girl, Teresa, that was like a Ford model, and she was this girl. She kind of looked like Elaine Irwin, John Cougar Mellencamp's wife.
God, I always remember the girls you dated in L.A. were so attractive.
In L.A., no, in New York. L.A., I didn't fool around at all. I just was too busy doing comedy. Like 1920, sure. But I remember this girl looked, she was with Anthony Michael Hall, and I remember she was playing pool at Peggy Sue's. And I went up to her and I said, why are you dating Anthony Michael Hall? You should be dating me. And she goes, all right. That's like your first clue. This isn't going to be a good relationship. That a girl, that's like a biker chick on meth. Like, all right, I'll ride with you, Big Daddy. So a month goes by, me and this girl, and then she leaves me and goes back to him. Then he calls me in my home at LA. Somebody gave him my phone number.
Yeah, me.
Very nice, Jerry. And I literally pick up the phone, and he goes, you will never set foot in New York City again. Because
New York City?
Swear to God. Because I'll be here waiting to kick your ass. And I know you'll never go to Peggy Sue's again, especially on a Thursday night. Because that was like the big party night. There was like all the model parties. He goes, especially on a Thursday night, because you know what? That's my night. And you will never set foot in there again because it's... And he gave me like this whole thing like, don't set foot in New York. Don't go to Peggy Sue's. Don't talk to Kellyanne or Patrick, like my best friends. Kellyanne's like a sister to me. And he goes, because I'll be there waiting for you. So that's really just saying to me, do me a favor, get on the next flight, come here and punch me in the mouth. What he didn't know was the next day I was flying to Philadelphia to do stand-up at college.
That's not New York, so that's okay, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm on a train. I have an apartment in New York. I have to go back to New York. I live there. So I'm not going to not go to my apartment if I'm paying rent. So I'm doing the next day. I go, I know you're drunk right now, but I hope you're sober enough to remember this when I actually see you again. I hang with the phone. The next night, I have a gig at Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science. I get on the plane, I do the gig, and then I go from the gig to the station, Penn Station in Philadelphia, to Manhattan, and I walk to Peggy Sue's with my luggage, backpack, 2 suitcases, and I remember going up the stairs, and Kellyanne, beautiful, sweetest girl in the world, Kellyanne goes, no. And I go, if it was in a church, it just would have happened in church. Out of the way. And I give her the Heisman, and I go up the stairs, and I go up to the roof, and that's when the fight happened. But he did call me, and say all that.
You should have him on the podcast and talk about it. I mean, I'm sure it's all water under the bridge at this point, right?
I would hope so. It was a little quick, weird little fight. You know what I should have used? I should have used a tire tube or something. And well, here, you know what? If you go to jmohr.com, Jerry, you can click the Amazon banner, and maybe I should have gotten a double-barrel marshmallow gun like this guy, Brian Zimmerman. These people are smart. Clear your cookies. Instead of having an Amazon toolbar, whatever you call that. What do you call these, Angie? What are these called? Bookmarks?
Bookmarks.
Instead of a bookmark for Amazon, have your bookmark say jmohr.com and then just click the Amazon link on jmohr.com. That's the best way you can support this podcast. It doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you get savings. This guy, Brian Zimmerman, and I'll read it on the air if you email me, just use the Amazon.com link going through jmohr.com to purchase a double-barrel marshmallow gun for my nephew Jackson's 6th birthday. Also bought a tire tube for my daughter's Razor scooter. Love the free podcast, Brian Zimmerman, Wellington, Florida. So maybe if I had a double-barrel marshmallow gun, you wouldn't have had to say, let's just play ping pong. Let's play ping pong. Let's go play ping pong. Jerry's very anti-confrontational.
Doing it again. No, it's not that I'm anti-confrontation. It's just that I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable fighting with large groups of large men in the stairwell of Peggy Sue's. I would rather go talk to the model who was playing pool at the pool table.
Yeah, but I already done that.
And if someone told me not to go back to Peggy Sue's, I probably shouldn't be there in the first place. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were other bars in Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, but that was the place that we all hung out. Like, it was like Cheers, and I was Norm, and you were Cliffy, and like we went there all the time. And we were
what
alcoholics.
else can I say about Young Jay that
we got to talk
up?
about our sitcom that we did. We have to talk about Camp Wilder.
And we will in a second. I want to go back to
right.
Sorry,
I don't care. You're the guest. This is great for me.
I want to say we knew each other for a few years, and you started working at SNL, and you asked me to come up to the offices. I don't even think you'll remember this. And I went up to the offices, and it was really exciting. And you gave me a tour, and you showed me all the photos of Steve Martin and Chevy Chase and Martin Short. And I went up there, and it's right before you wrote the Barney Charles Barkley sketch.
Barkley versus Barney.
Yeah, it was great.
Opening monologue.
So funny.
I said that very aggressively. Sorry.
No, it was because it's one of those iconic sketches, and but you were really stressed out up there. I could tell, and it was like kind of fun for me to go up there and see you. And you had a couple friends there, but you were the most stressed out I've ever seen you. You were. Yeah,
when I wrote the book, Gasping for Airtime, it really I got stressed out again. Like, it was weird.
Just like reliving it.
Yeah, and the memories were so vivid. And once I just didn't talk about SNL because it was so weird. It was like Vietnam. Like, you weren't there, man. But then when you write a book about it, and when someone gives you a check, a big check to write a book about it, you better remember it, and you better make it interesting. So then when I made the commitment to just dive headfirst back into it, I remembered the color of the carpets, like weird, like Vietnam veteran stuff. Like, I remembered everybody's names. I remembered their tics. I remember what they smelled like. I remember what everyone's offices, like what they had in their offices and stuff. Al Franken always chewed on pencils, and it grossed me out.
You introduced me to Al Franken. You in sort of like
U.S. Senator Al Franken.
Yeah, sort of like you asking Tom Cruise for a jump rope and then running into his trailer.
I'm not crazy. I never ran into his trailer.
I'm pretty sure the story I remember is you pointing at him while he was walking to set with his detail, and you going, "Yo, Tom, let me grab your jump rope," and then running into his trailer and coming up with the jump rope and starting to do jump rope outside.
No, I'll tell you exactly what it was. Before his take, when he's getting fired and he's all sweaty and he's freaking out because he's lost the battle on the phones. I love black people. Show me the money. And he goes, "Who's coming with me?" Besides Flipper here. He wanted to be all sweaty, and he wanted it to be like organic. And he's not like a method guy. I thought he was. And by the way, Tom Cruise, one of the coolest human beings I've ever worked with in my life. Top of the leaderboard. Would you agree?
Yes, great guy.
Knows everyone's name, kind to the crew. Andrew, how are you? Everybody okay? How's your girlfriend? That's great. You still like Korean chicks? All right. So he wouldn't say that. I just made that up because he's got a Korean girlfriend. But he knew everybody, and he was great. And so he was jumping rope behind those giant flags of light, to make that office. By the way, for those of you that watch Jerry Maguire, that huge office that he quits when he gets fired and he has to go pack up, that was a set. That was a $5 million set. All those computers. You were never on it, were you? All those computers worked. All the phones went out. And phones came in, and all the voicemails were set up. You've reached Bob Sugar. Like, we had to do that. And I had business cards. I had everything that said Bob Sugar, whatever the name of the company was.
Do you remember the scene where you call up my hotel room? You were actually on the phone on the other end?
Yeah, just sniff or something if he's there.
Yeah, I mean, normally in any other show you work on, you have a PA or something reading lines.
No, they spared no expense.
The phones worked.
So he would jump rope right before that scene. So he was completely gassed and just defeated. He wanted to physically look disheveled without a wardrobe person going, I'll untuck it a little like this, maybe this, and I'll spritz your face. So he would just jump rope for like 5 minutes straight in between setups, and they'd say action. He'd just drop the rope and go, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me besides Flipper here? Like he was gassed. So that was me making fun of him for jumping rope. I was breaking his balls. Hey, Tom, is it all right if I use your jump rope? Is that cool?
That's not the way I remember it, Jay. I remember you were really getting into shape back then. You talked a lot about – you were the first person who I ever heard the term carbs from. You talked a lot about carbs in those days.
No, I was into music. I was talking about the Cars.
That's not true. You actually use the term empty carbs, and I often to this day don't know what that means.
Beer, bread, empty carbs. Are you manorexic?
No, I'm just...
I see pictures of you in Star Magazine running around. And
I run a lot.
I think Jerry might be manorexic.
I do a lot of cardio, but I've always been thin, and you know it.
And you're married. We're not going to mention anything, or is it okay?
Sure, you can talk.
Yeah, your beautiful wife, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Rebecca Romaine is we both have hot wives. We both hit the wife lottery.
Yeah.
You have twins. Do you get any sleep at all?
My wife is currently working in Canada, so I'm sort of taking a couple months off to deal with them. Yeah, I get sleep.
Do you secretly hire a second nanny and just tell your wife, oh, it's brutal?
No, to be honest, I kind of I kind of like being there. I have girls. I know you have 2 boys.
I have 2 boys. Yeah.
You have 2 boys. It's a little different
10
with
and
dads.
2. I wish I had twins.
It's a little different with dads and girls. I like picking them up. I like being there. Hey, listen, me coming here. I'm sorry to be such a weirdo about Orion Stickler about like what time I have to come in and all that stuff, but I like to pick them up at school.
I do too. We're the new generation of dads. I love you, dads. If our dad sat us down,
oh God, my dad,
and said I love you, we'd look at our brother and sister and go, "Dad's drunk. Why did he hit you?" Worse, he said he loved me.
Remember the joke you used to have about your grandfather? Coffee. Hug me.
Oh my God, I forgot about it.
That's a funny joke.
Great joke.
It's such a funny joke.
I could show affection
Jay used
to my
to
family.
have.
Anytime I went to go hug my father, he'd go, coffee.
Go hug your mother.
Go hug him. Wow, I got to write that down.
Jay,
I've forgotten more material than
I know.
All right, you and I were on a sitcom. So how old are your twins?
4.
Are they identical?
No, not
Thank
identical.
God. That's creepy, right?
I don't know. You sort
Just say
of
something bad about somebody. Jesus Christ! Pick someone right now and say something bad about them. You are the nicest guy in show business.
Let me think.
You really are. That's probably why you were on shows for 6 years and I'm on shows for 1 year.
I wish that
you're nice and don't pick on everybody. Crossing Jordan, I would have been fired after the second year. We're going in another direction. We brought in Shamar Moore to replace you, JJ.
You know what's crazy? Let me say one more crazy Jay Moore story.
Oh, these are great.
And you'll never remember these.
Yeah, because I'm an alcoholic, Jerry. A lot of it went out my ears.
I saw you in Vegas when you were doing stuff for Moore Sports. I don't know what the event was, but it was a big sporting event, and you were with your big-time producer for Moore Sports.
Bob Morton.
And you had a huge billboard outside of Staples.
Bob Morton, veteran of the More Stories podcast.
First of all, I'd never seen you smoke cigarettes. You were chain smoking.
Because I quit chewing tobacco, so I just switched.
But I'd never seen you smoke a cigarette, and that was a little jarring. It's sort of so
far I remember all of this.
You were out of your tree, and then I couldn't believe I saw you on Craig Ferguson, and you were. Listen, you can cut this out. This is your thing. I couldn't believe this is right after I think More Sports was canceled, and I watched More Sports, and I thought you were great. And listen, I go down to your
Kilborn. I think you're about to say.
Craig Kilborn. Sorry. And I went to your sports show today, and I listened to you on 570, and you're great. You're almost born for this job. And this is a guy I want everyone to know listening right now. This is a guy who Jay Mohr is the only man I know who sits down and watches an entire baseball game on can sit down and watch a game from beginning to end on television, and it's not in the background. He sits there and watches a baseball game. I'll never forget that. I remember you and I hanging out and you watching a Colorado's Rockies game. And me being like, "What are you watching this for?" And you being like, "Oh, it's the Rockies. Something was happening. I don't know."
Well, now with a kid, I don't watch a whole game, obviously, but I like the battles within the battles. I love the way I love the way a hitter make me feel great. I love the way a hitter works the lineup. I love watching the way a pitcher throws to open a game. Oh, he's going all inside the first time through the order. And then I get obsessed, almost OCD, like, is he going to keep jamming them inside with inside pitches the second time through the order? Or does he switch gears and start throwing breaking stuff way outside? Is he getting in their heads? I love to watch a game plan of a pitcher executed when they're doing it correctly. That's all.
Well, anyway, I think I've never seen you happier doing this.
There's a lot of people that can watch a baseball game start to finish. They're called unemployed people, Jerry.
I do also. Hey, so let me ask you, and you can cut this out. Let me ask you about that More Sports thing when it went off. Why'd you go off the rails like that? Why didn't you just say oh, it didn't work out? Because you personally attacked the head of ESPN. Now I don't know.
The head of ESPN was Mark Shapiro, and what happens in show business, and Jerry knows this as well as anybody. You sell a show to person A. Person A leaves. Person B comes in. It's not their show. It's just something that's already in the works.
So a new head came in?
Mark Shapiro came. I sold the show to Michael Eisner, and he greenlit it, and then he left. Now Mark Shapiro comes in, and he's got this band of misfit toys, a bunch of comic potheads doing this sports variety show, and he's trying to tell us how to do it. But we've already been up and running for 2-3 weeks. Like, we're okay, bro. Leave us alone. And he got involved. Look, all comics really want is autonomy. Just let me, when I'm on stage, let me say whatever I want to say. And if you tell me when I do corporate gigs, if it's a G-rated show, just did one in Orlando for the people at Raymond James Financial, fine, G, no problem. I didn't say damn, nothing. PG, R, just tell me what you want, but then get out of the way. You got to leave me alone. And what he started to do was we would do a monologue, and it was a comedy show. It was like the Tonight Show, but sports. And I would do a monologue and stuff, and we would edit it to time, and then we'd put it up in the satellite through the computers, and it would get sent to Bristol, Connecticut, where ESPN headquarters is. And then when they would get it and receive it, and now it's their responsibility to actually put it on television. And then when I watched the show on television, it would be all different shit. Different jokes in the monologue, sketches we did were cut out.
So they recut it.
They recut it. And when we asked them why, Mark Shapiro specifically said to Bob Morton, who, by the way, has 19 Emmy nominations for comedy because of the David Letterman show, he goes, it just wasn't funny, guys. It just wasn't funny. So I just helped it out. So now you got a suit telling you what's funny and recutting the show. To me, that's unacceptable. And I got a staff of comics. I'm their leader. And then when they canceled the show, it enraged me because I knew that guys did their jobs exceptionally well. Not good, not great. These guys were given a chance, and they went. KP Anderson runs the soup. The reason the soup is fun and good again is because KP Anderson took it from garbage, and he ran it the right way with the way he did More Sports. And Ralphie May was a writer on that show. John Moore, the Colonel, John Holland Moore, he runs Joe Schmo now. He was on that show. My coaching tree on that is incredible. And guys that did their jobs better than anybody could have asked lost their jobs because that guy had a hard-on for us.
Do you watch?
That's why I went on Craig Kilborn and said, I will always watch ESPN. And what you're referring to is on TV. I said, but Mark Shapiro's a fucking cocksucker.
Do you watch these shows now? The Soup, Tosh, Fallon, and do you? Is it a different eye that you look at those shows with now?
No, I watch them and I like them. I know, I like Tosh. I like Anthony Jeselnik's show a lot.
Yeah, so do I. It's funny.
Love it. But
you should be on his panel.
I'd like to. Sure, I would love it. But the thing with when I watch ESPN shows, we didn't know that a 0.4 rating was normal for the middle of the day on ESPN. Pardon the interruption, that's what it gets. But when we came out with a 0.4 rating, they panicked. They thought we were going to get a 2, like a WB show, but we didn't. So that's why.
But I'll tell you what's fun about you.
We have to talk about Camp Wilder.
And I will, and you can cut this all.
But no, we're not going to cut any of it. We don't cut the podcast. It's warts and all, baby.
One last point I want to make. I like you working in sports because there's always material to go off of.
Every day.
Every morning you wake up,
I'm happy as hell.
Something happened. Carson Palmer went to the Raiders. I mean, that's a half hour of material right there. I mean, he didn't go to the Raiders. He went to the Cardinals.
From the Raiders. Yeah. I got you. They're retiring Shaq's. As we record this, they retired Shaquille O'Neal's jersey.
This is really funny.
And somebody tweeted the show and said, to honor his free throws, the jersey should miss the hooks when they try to raise it up to the rafters. You know what's fun, Jerry? The audience sometimes, they're really funny.
Yeah.
They're dialed in. And if they just, all you got to do, all anybody wants is to be wanted and recognized. And when you just say, hey, man, Drew just had a great tweet, and you just say that guy's name on the air, just reward the guy. And a lot of shows don't do that. They'll just read the tweet. Like the show that's on, a lot of shows that are on, they just do it.
Well, I think you're also a comic, and you know how to give credit. You know what I'm saying? I think that's part of your. Everybody wants to be a good guy, and
a lot of comics don't like giving up the credit. I think it's I will say this about myself. I think it's one of my better skills is saying this person just said something really funny. Let's back up and readdress it. How many times did you audition for Crossing Jordan?
I had a friend who was a writer on it.
So they just hired you? You were the lead, male lead.
I had a friend who was a writer on it.
That doesn't answer my question.
A guy I went to college with.
So how many times did you audition for Crossing Jordan?
I didn't audition.
So you were offered the job to be the co-lead.
Yeah.
Wow. That'll get you a nice house with twins in it, man. That's a lot of dough. How long did that run?
6 years.
That's a lot of money. And then you did the crossover on Las Vegas.
That's right. And that's where I met your wife.
Yeah, Las Vegas and Crossing Jordan. They tried to do a little crossover, like when the Harlem Globetrotters would have the Scooby-Doo gang over.
Right.
So is that the most amount of money you made in show business? It has to be, right? Yeah, of course it is. 6 years on a procedural drama?
You know, I didn't really want to do it for money.
Shut up. I'm asking you, what project in your life did you make the most money on? I don't want a number.
I think in terms of a job, that was the longest job I've ever had. 6 years. That's a long time. I did a show. I did a show before that for 5 years
called
Sliders. Science fiction show.
Oh yeah.
So
But you didn't make as much on the Sci-Fi Channel as you did on CBS. Just tell me, what show did you make the most money on?
I would say Crossing Jordan. You are correct. Yeah,
I know, but you're such a politician.
I just don't like talking about money.
We're not talking about money. We're talking about what was the most beneficial to you and your family.
Yeah.
Now you know why I was so aggressive, because I couldn't get a fucking straight answer out of you all through my 20s.
Can't we just go play ping pong?
Let's just play ping pong. I believe the bonus content, if you go to youtube.com/morestoriesballs, you and I, Jerry, will talk about being on the sitcom Camp Wilder. 2-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank was on that show.
Right.
And I remember we used to mock her almost every day.
No, listen, Jay, I didn't
because
make fun
we
of
couldn't
anyone.
have her.
Well, listen, I like you had a big crush on her, and don't say you didn't have feelings for her, because you did. But Hillary was continually in a very long relationship, and also met her then soon-to-be husband,
Chad
Lowe, while we were working together in 1992.
Yeah.
Jay, 21 years ago. Jay.
You said that like Alex Trebek.
21 years ago.
Ooh, sorry. It was 21 years.
And the image of Jay I remember then is him in a 1992 turquoise
blue, Seattle Seahawk blue
Mustang convertible, playing one of two CDs. Onyx is heavyweight and still undisputed. Planet Earth. Or
that boys be boys.
Or playing Bone. God, what was it?
It wasn't Bone Thugs and Harmony.
No. Slam. No, not Slam. OPP, how can I explain it? I said it frame by frame it.
Naughty by Nature with the stupidest album cover ever. Somebody, Vin from Naughty by Nature, hand drawing a baseball bat for the cover. Nice artwork, guys. But we've come a long way from Boston and Kansas.
And also throwing in some Frank Sinatra, blaring it, driving down Ventura. Really funny. Remember we used to go to that little puff and putt, that pitch and putt, and drink beers with all the prop guys?
Yeah, yeah. The prop guys on that show were actual alcoholics.
They were, well,
and there was
a lot of drinking in between work and stuff, you know.
Yeah, you and I did not. I know that for a fact. And I remember we would go into the prop room, and they had coolers of beer, and they just went in there and they just got gassed. But you would never know.
Remember?
Now I always see those guys, like when you work the Emmys, you'll be like, "Oh, hey, man!" Like they're the best guys.
Yeah. Remember they had a code. If they wanted something, they would never yell it, so that the producers would hear that. It always go. Like if they needed you to do something and they didn't want to go, hey, Jay, pick up that prop. Like they were yelling or like panicking. They just go.
Yeah, they had your back. That's exactly right. They were good dudes.
Then you turn and look at them and they'd be like, so there was no yelling. And I use that to this day. It's so great.
You use that to your twins? Like who pooped their pants?
I do have a big whistle that I can do that I.
Can you whistle?
Loudly.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to whistle than dunk. Right, would you rather be able to whistle or dunk?
Are you ready for this big whistle?
Angie, are you ready? We're going to whistle.
You
ready? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can Charlie whistle too?
My brother?
No, fucking Charlie Chan.
No, I have a daughter named Charlie as well.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, it'd be weird if a 2-year-old could whistle.
No, he can't.
It bothers him, I bet. Your brother was on The Bachelor. Let's not get too far from that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
When he was on The Bachelor, do you actually have sex with the girls during the show? Because that's how I would pick. I would pick whichever one had sex with me.
I think there's a lot of hanky-panky. My brother, and he should speak for himself, but from what I saw, it was a pretty dreadful experience. A lot of alcohol is involved. A lot of alcohol and like videotaping of things is involved. I think you're put into what can only be aggressive positions, like in a stairwell at Peggy Sue's.